This presentation will talk about university students' readiness and attitudes to learn in the context of remote teachings during the COVID-19 pandemic. I am Touta Baliu and I am the researcher of this case study. Shift to remote learning, understanding the challenges. What was the problem? The COVID-19 pandemic triggered an unprecedented interruptions in higher education. Universities worldwide were forced to close campuses and rapidly transition to remote teaching. The shift exposed significant gaps in students' readiness to learn online, technologically, emotionally, and academically. Wide importance. Remote learning demands new skills, self-regulation, digital literacy, and emotional resilience. Yet many students lacked stable internet access, quiet study environment, or adequate support from their institutions. The sudden change also led to increased stress, isolation, and uncertainty. This study explores how students navigate these challenges and what their experience reveals about the future of digital education. Key challenges areas. Digital access. Not all students had reliable devices or internet. Self-motivation. Learning from home required discipline and focus. Support system. University communication and emotional support varied widely. Emotional impact. Anxiety, loneliness, burnout, and isolation became common. My research questions. How ready were university students to engage in remote learning during the COVID-19 pandemic? What were their attitudes toward this mode of education? And to what extent did they feel supported by their university during the transitions? I used mixed method in this case study. This study employed a mixed methods case study approach to explore university students' readiness and attitudes towards remote learning during the COVID-19 pandemic. Quantitative online survey. To initiate the interpretation phase of mixed method study, university students' readiness and attitudes to learn in the context of remote teaching during the COVID-19 pandemic, I first examined the quantitative data collected through online survey completed by 127 university students. I conducted descriptive statistic analysis to identify key trends in student access to technology, internet stability, and self-perceived readiness for remote learning. These patterns revealed that while most students had basic technological tools, disparity in internet stability, university support, and the study environment significantly affected their learning attitudes. The interpretation of this data provided a foundational understanding of the structural and behavioral factors shaping student experiences, which will inform the conclusion and recommendation. Also, I applied the qualitative semi-structured interviews. Following the analysis of the quantitative results, I turned to qualitative data collected through semi-structured interviews and focus groups discussion to deepen the understanding of students' lived experiences during remote learning. Using thematic analysis, identify recurring patterns and emotional narratives that completed and expand upon the survey finding. These themes revealed how students coped with isolation, navigating technological challenges, and developed resilience in the face of uncertainty. By interpreting these insights in relation to the quantitative trends, I was able to uncover the nuanced human factors that shaped students' attitudes and readiness, offering a more holistic view of the impact of remote education during the pandemic. Data visualization. The bar chart displays student perceptions of university support during remote learning, categorized by readiness dimensions: very supportive, somewhat supportive, and not supportive. on the x-axis and students on the y-axis. The data show that the majority of students rated their university as very supportive, indicating that institutional effort, such as timely communication, access to digital resources, and emotional outreach were positively received by most. A smaller portion of students felt their university was somewhat supportive, suggesting that while some support was present, it may have lacked consistency or depth. The lowest number of responses felt under not supportive, highlighting a minority who felt disconnected and unserved during the transition. This resulted and reinforced the importance of proactive student-centered support systems in maintaining engagement and emotional well-being during periods of education disruption. Emotional responses, data visualization. The line chart illustrates the emotional responses of university students during remote learning, with the x-axis representing emotional types, motivation, isolation, anxiety, and y-axis indicating the number of students reporting each emotion. The data reveals that motivation was the most frequently experienced emotion, peaking significantly higher than both isolation and anxiety. This suggests that despite the challenges of the remote learning, many students remain driven to succeed and adapted to a new environment with determination. Isolation was the second most reported emotion, reflecting the social disconnection students felt during lockdown. Anxiety, while present, was less dominant than expected, indicating that emotional resilience may have played a role in students' overall coping strategies. To provide a quick visual snapshot of student experience, I created a pie chart that blends both quantitative and qualitative data. The chart illustrates the proportions of students who felt very supportive, somewhat supportive, or not supportive of their university, alongside emotional responses such as anxiety, isolation, and motivation. Finding the results underscores the need for universities to provide more personalized support and flexible learning models in the future disruptions. Critical evaluation. Through this case study, I gained a deeper understanding of how research design shapes the quality and depth of finding. Using a mixed methods approach taught me the value of combining quantitative data for broad patterns with qualitative insight that reveal personal experiences. Overall, this process strengthened my ability to design research that is both methodologically sound and human-centered. Conclusion. The study reveals that university students faced a complex mix of challenges during the transitions to remote learning, including disrupting routines, emotional strain, and inconsistent institutional support. While some students demonstrated resilience and adapted through the self-discipline and peer connections, others struggled with anxiety and isolation. Quantitative data showed varied levels of readiness and perceived support, while qualitative insight highlighted the emotional depth behind these experiences. Together, these findings support the study's purpose to understand how prepared students were for remote education and how attitudes and coping strategies shaped their learning journey. The results underscore the need for universities to provide more personalized support and flexible learning models in the future disruptions. I would like to give some recommendation to the university. Universities should improve communication and emotional support, offer hybrid models and flexibility. Institutes should invest in digital infrastructure and training to ensure equitable access for all students. Future students should build routines, seek help earlier, stay socially connected. Final summary. Understanding student experiences is key to build resilient, inclusive education systems. This study set out to explore university students' readiness and attitudes toward remote learning during the COVID-19 pandemic, with a focus on their emotional responses and perceived institutional support. The findings draw from both quantitative survey and qualitative insights from interviews and focus groups clearly demonstrated that while many students adapted with resilience, others struggled due to disrupted routine, emotional fatigue, and inconsistent support. For educators and policymakers, this research underscores the importance of designing inclusive, flexible learning environments for students. It offers a roadmap of strategies to navigate future disruptions with confidence and connection.